Hello, this is Brave Sir Robin from Red Star Simulations. We have just finished the last piece of the equipment that's necessary for radio communication and navigation. So this is a good time for a video update. We'll start with an overview, then we'll cover all tools in detail, and we'll finish with a full flight from Godota to Sukhumi to show all the tools working together. Keep in mind that this is work in progress, so it's unfinished. It's not the final product. The Kneeboard is used for looking up information about your mission without utilizing the F10 map. Correcting your barometric pressure, make sure that you can rely on your barometric pressure altitude indicator. The chronograph has three functions. It displays the current time, it has a stopwatch, and you use it to log your flight time. Switching on the navigation lights makes sure that air traffic controllers and other pilots can see you well. The P800 radio lets you communicate with ground crew and air traffic controllers over radio. A Soviet compass works different from Western compasses. You'll see a symbol of an aircraft that will turn instead of the backplate. With the ARC-V navigation radio, you can tune in to beacons on a map, for instance at airfields. The beacon location will show up at your ADF, the automatic direction finder. The beacon marker receiver will sound a bell when you fly over a beacon. In DCS you can hold K to see your kneeboard, or press right shift K to keep it open. You'll see the channels of your radio set. They are preset from the mission editor. You can't change them in game, you can only switch between these. We'll look at that later. If you have a starting airfield set in your mission, it will show up here with the air traffic controller frequency, runways, and also the beacon to get to the runway, including the Morse code. The same for the landing airfield if you have that set. Also you'll find the startup procedure. This is like a bare minimum startup procedure just to make sure that you don't blow up your engine. You have just to click some switches, if you hover you'll see what it is, so this should be sufficient. Also we add all beacon information. NDB is non-directional beacons or something, but you'll see the frequencies to tune into and also the Morse code, so you don't have to memorize them. Of course, like with all kneeboards, you'll get all the information about the airfields. The difference is for this aircraft, you'll get the starting airfield first, the landing airfield later, and then the rest that you're familiar with. Let me see. Yeah, so also the map will show your current location, a more zoomed out version, and if you don't have like a travel path, or like a very short travel path that's just dummy for your heading, you'll see a bigger map. But now I have a mission, so it will show the mission with some extra padding. When you cold start, your barometric altitude indicator will be slightly off. This has to do with weather changing, so you'll have to look up your own airfield. And you can see what's my elevation. Well, in this case it's 21 meters, so you need to change it for your barometric altitude indicator to be reliable. The chronograph has multiple functions. On mission start, the clock will be set correctly, but be careful if you have a cold start, you do need to wind it up or it might run out during your mission. For air start and hot start, it's already pre-round. So you have the clock, but there's also in the upper side, there's your flight time logger. And on the bottom and the second hand, those are the timer. Stopwatch. So stopwatch started. This is the second hand. This is the minute hand, and it will turn counterclockwise. Don't ask me why. That's Soviets for you. So you can stop it, reset it, but there's also with the right mouse button, you can pause it and continue it. The same start, stop, and reset also exists for this clock. Let me change it a bit so you can better see it. So this is the flight time clock. Let's get this out of the way too. So it's a white moon. That means it's ready to start. If it's red, it has started. So the time will now pass. I believe I can fast forward. Yeah, there we go. We see it move. And I'm now gonna do normal time. And just like with the stopwatch, you can now pause it. And that's meant for stopping it so that you can taxi and then write down how much you have flown and you can reset it. As I showed, you can change the time. But let's say that you've flown, you didn't realize it ran out. So you put it on red, but nothing happened. And you find out like, oh, it's now 20 past. I've flown for 15 minutes. The clock didn't run. So what you can do is pull it out twice. And if you then set the correct time, it will also correct your flight time. The navigation lights, well, that speaks for itself. Get your flashlight or you'll see nothing. We still have to implement some light stuff. Click this forward and look from the outside. We got a nice white, red and green light. The P800 radio. Let's look at our Kneeboard. We have 4 preset frequencies from the mission editor. Those are these 4 frequency channels. Godota 130, channel 1. Sukhumi 129, channel 2. If you don't select the right channel, you won't get a response from ATC.
Godota, Uzi 1, abort takeoff.
If you select the right channel, they will be able to respond to us.
Uzi 1, abort takeoff. Uzi 1, taxi parking area.
Furthermore, there's a switch here. If you put it up, you'll hear the ARC radio over the headphones. If it's down, you'll hear the radio communication. We'll come back to the ARC radio later. Look at the compass down here. It works differently for the Soviets. If you turn to the right, the airplane will turn to the right instead of the map turning. So keep that in mind. What else? Yeah, there's a slave button. Well, it's already slaved, but if you start up cold, you need to hold it so it can find its magnetic bearing after powering on. The ARC 5 navigation radio. Well, since we just implemented the normal radio, we have to set this switch from radio to ARC. The result will be that you'll hear the ARC Morse code and noise from the stations over your headphone for tuning. So let's enable it. You have 4 modes: off, on, antenna and loop. This is comp. It's called comp. Let's burn down the comp. It will try to log on to a signal. Currently there's no signal. If you look at the ADF, it's turning, can't find anything. Can't log on because it's not tuned. So we need to tune it. So let's get the easiest one. We're gonna go for the closest one. That's our current airfield. So the beacon frequency for this airfield is 395. Well, 395 is between 310 and 640. So you set it to the middle band. Oh, let's put this up so you can hear it. 395. Very strong signal. It will now have locked on. Here you see. There's a bit of jitter, but it has found it. Strong signal. You can check if it's the right one. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, so now we know that's the correct one. Let's do a more difficult one. The outer beacon of Sukhumi, 489. Same band. 489, and you can hear it much more static. The signal is much less strong, but still pretty strong. So even though we're on the ground, so you can see the signal strength. You try to turn it, and the best way to turn it is if you put it on antenna, because it will block out. Okay, so there's actually 2 antennas. So you have your normal antenna, it's omnidirectional. It's for the audio signal and the Morse. And you have your directional antenna trying to lock on to the station. It will literally turn. Like the ADF position here is literally the direction the loop antenna is pointing towards. So let's put it on antenna and try to get it as strong as possible. Well, this is very strong. So we get a strong signal. So we know... Oh, wait a minute. It's on antenna, so it won't turn. Then you switch back to comp. So now it's tracking. So if you go here, it's tracking. It should log on, even though we're on the ground. It's much more difficult to log on when you're on the ground. Okay, let's get this kneeboard out of the way. Let's fine-tune it. There we go. It's now logged on. So this should be our Sukhumi airfield. However, well, one moment. However, it could be a different one. So that's what the Morse code is for. Because Sukhumi is 489, but there's a different one at the same map that's 490. That's like megahertz apart. So sometimes it locks on to the wrong one. So that's what the Morse is for. So you can hear which one it is. So let's check if we got the right one now. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, we got the right one. But I know there's another one. I know at 490 there's one further down the map that we might be able to pick up. So let's crank it to 490. And I know where it is a bit. So with this one I can override the turning direction and I can make it lock on. Like even if it locked on to one, I can make it lock on to a different one. I know that there's something in this neighborhood. No, it's not locking on. Anyway, if we're in the air, it would lock on because there the signal is much stronger. So with antenna, you can fine-tune your frequency for best reception and for the frequency. But for the direction, you can use this mode. And the lower the signal, the better lock. If I turn it away from the source, the signal gets stronger. This is called nulling. So if you try to get the signal as low as possible by turning towards the source. So here it's very low. So we now pass it. So we know Sukhumi is in that direction. It's on my, like if 0 is the nose direction, so it's on my right, a bit to the front. Yeah, so that's how you can find sources. And if it locks onto the wrong one, you can just nudge it one way or the other. As I said, there's an outer and an inner beacon at some airfields. Some airfields even have more. If we go here, like Anapa, it has 4 beacons. So they have like an outer beacon and inner beacon for runway 4 and an outer and inner beacon for runway 22. And what does 4 mean? It means you have to think a 0 behind it. It's at 40 degrees. And this one is at 220 degrees, about, like between these brackets you'll see the actual direction. Yeah, so if you want to switch to the inner beacon, you have to use a switch because you don't have time to tune when you're flying from the outer to the inner beacon. It's for the last course correction when you're landing. So there's a switch here to switch between them. But you need to tell it which band. So you can go here. You have like the lower band, middle band, and high band. Well, in this case, we want 995. So that's the high band. We put it on the high band. And then it's now not locking on because the signal is less strong. But if you're in the air and you fly over the first beacon, then you switch to the internal to the inner beacon, and it will lock onto that one. You'll see during the real flight because it's you can't really show it off on the ground. So we've been talking about beacons an awful lot this video. What is a beacon? Well, this is a beacon. So it will send a signal that you can log on to. And it's always, well, it's hard to see because it's very misty. But let's look at the map. This is this beacon. And it's always an extension of the runway. This has one. So you don't have an inner and outer beacon. So you need the right approach. The beacon should in the runway direction compared to your aircraft. But other airfields, like Sukhumi, they have an inner and an outer beacon. Oh, this does not work. So first you fly towards the outer beacon and you try the same. You try to get it, like this is 290 or like 300. You try to have the beacon at your 300 direction. If you fly over the beacon, you'll hear a bell ring. You switch to the inner beacon, which will be automatically the right frequency if you set the band correct. Because they're mapped in the Soviets just mapped them so that they would line up. So you flip the switch, go to the inner beacon. At that point, even with low visibility, you'll be very close. So if you pass this beacon, you just try to keep the runway heading and you should get fairly close to the start of the runway. So apart from that, all these beacons also send a signal upwards so that if you fly over it, that you hear the bell ring.